Code of honor, number 7, follow natural laws. We touched on this in the 12 Principles to Life Masteries, but we want to really lock this down in the Code of Honor. So you can believe, I can believe in natural laws, or we don't have to. It's totally up to us. But regardless of if we believe it or not, they're still true. Law of gravity is still true. I'm co-authoring a book with 2 of my nieces right now. The first book that I wrote, it took 10 years to write it. And one of my executive coaches, Phil Siebert, amazing guy, and I was kind of struggling, and am I going to follow through? Am I not going to follow through? And I just, I was coming towards the end, but I couldn't make the breakthrough. And he said, Mark, what do you think? Your first book is going to be a bestseller? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, it's not going to be a bestseller. It's going to take you 10 books. Speaking the truth. Now that motivated and inspired me. I said, well, if it's going to take me 10 books to get a bestseller, then I guess I better get writing. Started to work on some systems and tools and some processes and disciplines in my life. And now I write a new book every 7 weeks. Yep, every 7 weeks. Just finished up a book, Community Business Partners, with the president of Century 21, Tom Kuntz, amazing guy. I had so much fun writing that book together and connecting and getting to know one another. And his thoughts, his mindset, his insight into people is just amazing. And in looking at, these natural laws, I was connecting with a couple of my nieces, because another book that I'm writing is A Life of Influence, a book about Charles Lane, who just made a worldwide impact through Rotary International. I don't know if you knew, but Rotary International has immunized 2 billion people. 2 billion people. There's 6.5 billion people on the planet. They've immunized 2 billion, over 2 billion people. And Mr. Lane was just an average guy, like you, like me. But average people following natural laws can do extraordinary things. And I have 2 sisters and 4 brothers, and my 3 brothers and myself we went to Florida to do some golfing and spend some time together. And my younger brother, Dan, who was in the Marines for 22 years, he and I started talking. He said, Mark, he says, I have a concept that every human being has kind of a relationship capability, a capacity, relationship capacity. And as we have children, and then those children, start meeting people and get married, and then they have children, our worlds expand, and the only way that we can expand with that is to increase our relationship capacity. So we're in, first grade, and we have a best friend, and then another friend comes along. You can't have 2 best friends unless you increase your relationship capacity. And one of the things I love about Life Masteries Institute is they have so many tools and systems and unbelievable people that contribute to making a difference in my life and in yours and my kids' lives. And so as I was talking to my brother Dan, we started to kind of think about this and brainstorm about this, connecting that with Mr. Lane and interviewing some of his nephews on what an unbelievable difference he made as an uncle. And I said, I want to be like, Mr. Lane. I want to make a huge impact on my, nieces and nephews. And so I started talking with 2 of my nieces, Brianna and Olivia. Olivia is 6 and Brianna is 8. And we started talking about natural laws, and all of a sudden it came out of nowhere, and I thought, well, why don't I write a book about lifelong relationships with Olivia, who's 6, and Brianna, who's 8? Why? Because children are amazing, and they have phenomenal insights that I don't know what happens, but we seem to forget it. and I was sharing with Olivia and Brianna the concept of natural laws. And I said, do you know what the natural law of gravity is? And they're like, no, Uncle Mark, I don't. I said, do you know what gravity is? And they said, yes. And I said, well, the natural law of gravity is that if you jump out of a plane, you're going to fall and die unless you have a parachute. Now, and I asked him, I said, so Olivia and Brianna, what's going to happen if you jump off of a bridge? And what if you don't believe in the law of gravity? What's going to happen? And they're like, well, Uncle Mark, you're going to fall. And Olivia said the cutest thing. She says, you're going to fall in the mud and get eaten by an octopus. And I thought, that's awesome. So she understood, and I said, well, what if you don't believe in that law? And they said, well, it's still going to happen. So I said, well, draw out a picture of that. You got to get that book because it's amazing on the insight that the kids have. And so you can be an author, even if you're 6 years old, or 5, or 4. You can accomplish anything in life that you want to accomplish. You know, I'm just an average person, you know, below average in a lot of things. But I've been a good steward. You know, I've tried to be a good steward. I've strived to be a good steward of what I've had. And in doing that, I've been blessed with so much more. And you will as well. But we have to understand the natural laws, and then we have to apply the natural laws. We have to do them. So Code of Honor, natural laws, learn them, do them, work together, because we can accomplish so much together than we ever could on our own.